Today I'm here with Jeanette Witherson. Okay, so thanks for taking the time to do this interview with me. No problem. Um, so you're here at the Festival Letteratura presenting what has been called cover versions of Shakespeare. Each of you taking one of his plays and transforming them into contemporary novels from stage to page. So, how did you get involved with this project, and how did you come to choose your play?
Yeah. Well, it's the 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death. So in England, that's like crazy land. Okay, we have Shakespeare T-shirts, Shakespeare boxer shorts, Shakespeare underpants. It's just crazy. Everybody's going mad. So my publisher said we're going to invite writers from all around the world to choose a play and represent them as fiction, as novels. Which one do you want? And I got first pick. So I wanted The Winter's Tale, and they said, "Are you crazy? Are you sure? You don't want to do that one. Why don't you do Romeo and Juliet?" And I said, "No, this is the play I've read most and thought about most all of my adult life. So why don't I see what I can do with it?"
Um, was it an instant decision of you choosing The Winter's Tale, or did it take some time to try to think?
It was instant. It was like, here I am on the phone, and that's my choice. Because you find out as you get older that certain things stick inside you. They're like talismans. They become books or stories that are your private library. Because everyone's got a library on the inside as well as on the outside. Hang on, I'm being bitten to death by midges. Yeah. So it's that library on the inside that is the one that you turn to either when you're in trouble or you're trying to understand something. It's almost a direction for your life. It's like a book that you're written in. And The Winter's Tale is one of those pieces. I'm written in it. And everything for a writer is a combination of autobiography, the who that you are, and colliding with something on the outside, right? So it's a chemical reaction. And people sometimes think that autobiography can explain a writer's choices. It's not that simple. It's like your mind is an atom smasher. And once you get your own personal experiences and something from the outside going into that atom smasher, you make a new form.
Thank you. Um, what were the challenges creating and adapting this novel?
God. Well, apart from being bitten to death in Mantova, um, if you go and see a play, all you see on the stage are characters and they're having conversations. There's no other way of doing it. It's not like a movie. You can't have flashbacks. You can't have things on the screen. You've just got people on the stage, and that's what we see and that's what we hear. In fiction, you can go inside somebody's head and you can have description. You've got different tools available. So I had to take the energy of the play, which is on the stage in your face for 2 hours, and make that into something which also allowed a kind of interiority so that we could get inside somebody's head and know what they were thinking. So that was the main challenge. Keep the energy, but change the focus.
Um, were there any limitations that you had to face creating it, or besides it having to be in present day?
Well, it didn't have to be in present day. I mean, they said, you just do what you like. But I thought, okay, we can't. There's two kings in this story, right? King Leontes, King Polixenes. I thought we can't have that. Everybody will go crazy. And I thought, well, what's a king? A king is an alpha male. Okay, he's a guy who's used to getting his own way. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of money. He's arrogant. Um, people listen to him. And I thought, all right, where would that be now? I thought that'd be a banker. Somebody who thinks that they can control the world and everybody has to do what they tell them. Puppet master. So I thought, all right, I'll make him a banker. It's set in Sicily, so I thought he can run a hedge fund called Sicilia. So you start to think about things like that. And in the second act, it's all set in some country place where there's shepherds and clowns and a sheep shearing. And I thought, we want to kill ourselves. Nobody wants to go to a sheep shearing nowadays. So instead, I made it down in a fantasy place called New Bohemia, which is like New Orleans. So everybody was singing, everybody was playing, it was laid back. And instead of having a shepherd and a clown who find the abandoned baby in the Shakespeare play, I had two do the right thing black guys, musicians called Shep and Chloe. And they're the ones who come in and scoop up the child. Because what Shakespeare does, he says, look, all these people with money and power, you can't trust them. Look what they've done. They betray their friends. He's humiliated his wife. He's abandoned his baby. And then Shakespeare takes us to another place, where these are ordinary folk. They want to play music. They want to get on with their lives. They want to cook meals with their friends. They don't have any money. And these people have good values. And they see this abandoned child and they don't say, where's her passport? Where's her immigration papers? Let's just take her in because this is a kid that needs a home. So, Shakespeare's a political writer once you look under the surface.
Thank you. So, was it difficult, because Shakespeare, said to be one of the greatest writers, so was it difficult trying to find a balance between Shakespeare and your own writing?
No, because Shakespeare was a rebel. He didn't worry about inventing a plot. He just looked around at what there was and said, I'll have that. He just stripped out the body parts of something that he wanted and put it all back together again and said, this is mine. And people were always accusing him of plagiarism, back then, and said, hey, that's my play. And he'd say, so what? It's better now. So in that spirit, I thought, okay, he would like this. He would say, here's the text, use it. And we forget that the idea of a text that's fixed just didn't happen in Shakespeare's day. Every day those plays went on the stage. He's there. He's acting in them as well as writing in them. He says, I'm not getting any laughs. That doesn't work. We cut it. Or, hey, that bit was really great, so let's extend it. So what you saw on a Monday, you wouldn't see on a Wednesday, even though it's the same play. And you wouldn't see it a year later because it's collaborative, it's improvisational. So that's the real spirit of making the work.
So, did you ever feel the presence of Shakespeare? Howard Jacobson said that he could hear Shakespeare saying, that's good, or that's not what I wanted. Did you ever feel like you could hear Shakespeare telling you?
Well, I'm not like Howard Jacobson. I don't think I can channel the dead. So, no, I didn't think Shakespeare was sitting on my shoulder 400 years later saying, yeah, that's good, that's not good. But what I did feel, which I always feel when I write, was being in a collaborative process with other writers. Creativity is collaborative. Somewhere we're all doing it together because books have conversations with one another. It doesn't matter when they were written, because art, it doesn't date. You don't go to a museum and look at a Mantegna and think, oh, that's old, it's nothing to do with me. We're in a kind of present together. And so when you work with a writer who's dead or long dead, you're in that place. And that was the spirit I felt. Not past, present, and future. Not that we're sitting here isolated on little rafts of time bobbing about, but that we're connected by these huge strands of the past. And I find that really comforting.
So, you had an event yesterday in which you discussed the EU referendum and the thorny issue of Brexit.
Yeah.
So, Stratford-on-Avon voted to leave by 51.6%.
Yeah.
So, which side do you think Shakespeare would have been on?
Of course, I think Shakespeare would choose Remain. Why? Because he never went to Italy, but he set so many of his plays in of fantasy creations that were Italian. The Winter's Tale starts in Sicilia, which he thinks of as an Italian place. We've got Romeo and Juliet, which is in Verona. Shakespeare loved the idea of other places, and it was the point in the Renaissance when everyone was travelling off, discovering the world. So, although at that period we had our own first Brexit because we broke with the Church of Rome, all that business of, we were all Catholic, and then Henry couldn't get the divorce, and he said, right, it's all about me. I'm going to have my own church. You guys can just get lost. So that was the beginning. We said, goodbye Europe. It's all about England. It's very bad because that's when we started to feel special and unique and isolated. But, there was a lot of outcry even then that something had been lost. So it's not straightforward. And I think Shakespeare was an inclusive writer, interested in lives and experiences, far beyond a little stage in London. So I think he'd have said, give me the whole world.
Coming from America, I understand that we feel very special.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like American exceptionalism.
yeah.
Yeah, which Trump's working with at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Well,
We can't do that.
yeah,
That's
it's
a conversation.
a whole nother interview, but thanks a lot for coming and interviewing.
No, I've enjoyed it. Thanks very
Yeah.
much. Thanks, Emerson.
Thank
It's
you.
great.